This is the Sony a7 IV, and this is a pile of gear from Neewer. Now, we're going to unbox this stuff, and we're going to build out a small camera rig using all products from Neewer. Now, it's Neewer. I looked it up. It's not Neewer, even though that's how it's spelled. But Neewer is a manufacturer of really high quality and inexpensive accessories for cameras. So we've got 15mm rods here, very long ones, and so this setup is going to take shape here and have a lot of room for attachments. We have a top handle. And this top handle has locating pins, as you can see here, and will attach to the cage. What's exciting about this setup is that it's going to have a follow focus. Follow focus is great, especially for those of you that want more control over your setup. Here is the base plate, and this base plate for the setup is what those rods are going to go through. You can see here we've got the holes for rods. We also have multiple mount points all over the place, and you can see we got a 3/8 pin here, which we'll have to remove and put in the 1/4 pin. Next up is the follow focus itself. So let's go ahead and pull that out. That is what intrigued me about this whole setup, is this very compact, very nice looking follow focus. I wanted to see if this is as of high quality as it looks to be. We've got a couple of screws in here as well. So as our pile continues to grow, and really we need the cage on the camera first. That is the starting point in which we will build upon, is the camera cage. And so now we've got the camera cage out here, and let's get that on the camera. So a cage is almost a must for me on all of my cameras because I like to protect the camera. I'm constantly setting my camera down. Let's see if we can get this on without removing the lens. Yes, we can. Fantastic. It does look like we are going to need to remove the camera strap holders, specifically on this side of the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. With that removed, we can go ahead and slide the camera right into the camera cage. Like I said, I like camera cages because of the added protection. So you can see here it also comes with a nice little tool that is magnetically attached. So I could use this tool to tighten this down, and I like that it's actually a really tight fit. A lot of times, these little tools that come with a camera, there's too much slop in here, and so as you try to tighten this screw down, you actually end up like indenting and almost stripping out the screw itself, which is kind of a bummer. Now, typically inside of the box that the cage comes in, there should be a tool for everything, and so there is no Allen screw that I received. And I looked inside the box, inside the bags, and even inside the other bags of the other products, and I did not get a tool for this particular Allen screw, and I did not get an additional screw here for the a7 IV mounting point. And I know it's for this particular camera because right on the edge here it says a7 IV. So this is a mounting point for the a7 IV, and I know that this cage could be used with different cameras. So we'll just have to look past that for now, and perhaps maybe in this box it got lost or just wasn't included, and I can contact the manufacturer about that. Let's go ahead and attach the handle up here. So now we've got the handle attached. Without our mounting point here, there's a little bit of movement here, and I don't really like that too much. What I don't mind is that it's not putting any pressure on the camera. It's just pressure on the bracket itself. It's not really that big of a problem. As far as things go, if we had the bolt that went right in here, it would be very sturdy. And really, I'm not worried about this too much anyways. All I would want to do is just probably put a little bit more pressure on this screw just to tighten it down a little bit more, make sure that everything is nice and tight. So now we have the cage attached and everything is ready to go here as far as that. Now we're going to attach the base plate to the camera. It looks to be basically the same in either direction, but I would say probably Neewer is going to go towards the front. So let's look at mounting that towards the front. Now on the base plate, there are two holes that slot and adjust and will line up perfectly with these two holes here. You will want to have multiple attachment points, and I would recommend using these screws that it comes with. These are going to be something that you can tighten down and really snug down so as to make sure that the base plate is nice and tight. Now on the base plate, I put the 1/4 right here, and I put the two included bolts up here on the front. We're going to have multiple mounting points here, and that is going to make sure that everything is nice and sturdy and that we don't run into any issues with twist or problems like that. Because when you are putting the rails in here and putting the follow focus on, we want this to be as sturdy of a setup as possible. So with the 1/4 in the back, tighten down, and then these 2 screws up front here, we're going to have a very secure mounting to the cage. We don't have to worry about twist or any issues like that. So the only thing that's a little bit challenging is tightening these down. This Allen wrench here is not really deep enough to get down in there and tighten these down. You can kind of do it, but you want to be careful not to strip things out, which would be very easy to do because this tool probably does need to be just a little bit longer considering the depth of this plate. So let's go ahead and tighten down the flathead screw here, which also can be tightened down with an Allen head as well. That fits right in there. This might be a better way of tightening it down, but I'm scraping the top. You can see now we've got some of the anodization missing there because of scraping that. So whatever, it is what it is. Probably something they should have thought of with manufacturing here. So we could take the included rail and slide that rail in like so and tighten it down by rotating this around. And then all we have to do is attach like so. So we'll go ahead and slide this on. We'll loosen this up a little bit and slide this in place. And this is going to rotate near our lens as soon as we put the gear attachment on the lens. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it tightened down just so that we have it close. Just checking just to see everything looks good so far. There's lots of adjustment to be had still. We can still put the handle back on the top of the camera, which we'll do that in a moment. But we're going to attach the gear to this lens. This is the 24-105. And what's great about this gear is it's adjustable in size. So all we have to do, if I wanted to utilize this for focus, is put this on the focus wheel, and I just have to get it nice and tight and then slide this in. It's a very quick and easy way to use this system. I mean, you do end up with a bit of a flappy gear hanging off the side here, and you can also put this on the other way, like so the rest of that gear hangs down on the other side of the lens. But with a lens like this, it doesn't matter where things start out anyways, because this is a live-by-wire type of lens, and so this lens is electronic, and it's not going to matter so much the way that we have this attached. So let's just get that gear lined up so it's nice and centered there. There we go. And we will adjust our follow focus now over, and looks like I'll have to slide the rail out just a little bit. And there we go. That is now attached. And you can see it's not completely perfect there in alignment. This lens perhaps being a little bit on the longer side for this particular rail setup. You can see here I'm pretty much at the end of the rail, and the rail is pushed in pretty far here as well. But there's still plenty of rail left for things to be attached down here. I'm not worried about this at all. I just want to make sure that everything is nice and tight. So you do also have an additional point of adjustment here. If you just need to pull this away really quick, there's an attachment there so that you don't have to disrupt the entire setup. I can just simply slide that right back in place and tighten that down. And all of these can be adjusted so that the tightener knob here is not in the way of your fingertips. So now we have full adjustment and everything is good to go. We can add the handle back on the top of the cage, and we have the complete kit set up and ready to go. Now in this scenario where I am basically maxed out, I have another way to attach the rail. It also comes with this attachment right here, which I can screw on using the included screws onto the side of the cage here. So I could attach this, and then I could just simply put the rail through here, and that would get me a little bit closer. Also, if I didn't want the rail to be down here on the bottom end of the camera and I wanted it to be more up towards the top, giving me more clearance down here, that's a possibility as well. But one of the things that I did notice that sometimes can be issues on other systems is the fact that once you start adding some of these attachments, then you have a new low point to the camera. On this particular base plate, because of its thickness and the way that everything's constructed here, you don't have a new low point. Everything is where it is, and this camera sits nice and flat. Of course, it is a little front heavy because of the lens, but it sits nice and flat on the table without any issues, even though it has a follow focus on it. Now, another neat feature of this particular follow focus is that it has pins for me to set in and out points for my focus. So I could just simply loosen this and adjust it to a new point, and then I can set my in and my out point for my focus pull, which is absolutely fantastic. We also have the ability to add a whip attachment here as well. You can see it's geared for that, and so if we wanted to add a whip and then have something external, which if this camera was on a tripod and kind of rigged up, adding a whip makes it much easier for us to adjust focus without having to touch the camera, and so it's nice that it comes with that feature as well. And then for expandability, you can add additional rods onto this to extend out the front end of this kit and add a matte box, maybe even add a battery onto the back of this, and really build out a full kit utilizing the Neewer base plate here, the camera cage with the handle, and of course the follow focus setup. So I have to say I'm pretty impressed by, I'd say, the follow focus setup for sure from Neewer. I'm a little bummed that I'm missing the wrench and the screw that attaches right here. I know I have some extras, so I'm not too worried about it, but overall the construction of this setup is really nice. We've got lots of additional mounting points along the cage on both the sides and the top, of course over here on the sides as well, so that we can add additional attachments to our camera should we need to. We also have camera strap attachments right here. If we wanted to be more run and gun and have some sort of safety measure, we could attach a strap to this, which is great. We also have 2 cold shoe mounting points, which I think is great because I could put a Rode shotgun microphone here. I could put a Rode Wireless Go over on this side. And then moving up to the handle, we actually have 3 additional cold shoe mounts. We have one here, and then one off the back side. So that's great because we can even add more items if we needed to, especially if this camera was rigged up a bit more. I might want to utilize some of those. We also have a 3/8 with locating pins on the front, which I would utilize for an external monitor. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with this setup. I may have to build this out and utilize this as the base for my next camera rig build out. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I've got links to all of the parts that we utilized here in the description below, so make sure to check out those links so that you could build out a kit like this, turning your A7 IV into more of a cinema rig.